My name's Charlie Ahmad, and this is my open door story. So I grew up in a mixed religion home. My father was and still is a Muslim, and my mother is a Christian. We grew up going with my mother to a Lutheran church outside of Chicago, Illinois, and I had heard the gospel many times, and I'd heard the word of God, but it never resonated with me. And when I got a little older and old enough to make up my own mind, I stopped going to church. And for many years after that, I lived in the world. And it wasn't until 2001 that God, looking back, I can see where God orchestrated a series of events that drew me back to Him. Early in 2001, I went through a painful breakup, and things weren't going well at work, and a bunch of things in my life had unraveled, and I hit an all-time low, and I was struggling with depression. And through a series of events, I ended up going to a church service at Willow Creek. And Willow Creek is a large church outside of Chicago, and I remember going into the auditorium where the church service was going to be held, and I remember having this feeling like my feet were stuck to the ground and I couldn't leave, and I didn't know what was about to happen, but I knew that I had to be there. Almost like every moment of my life had led up to this point. And I didn't know what was about to happen, but I remember sitting in church and hearing the message and hearing the music, and I remember closing my eyes and feeling the hand of God reach down and touch me. And that's the only way I can describe it. It was an experience like I've never had before. And in that moment, I knew everything was going to be different. I knew that the rest of my life was going to be different. And I knew that the things I'd been chasing were wrong, and that I was going to now pursue something different. And I didn't know exactly what that was. I didn't know exactly what all of this meant. And I couldn't have explained it to you if you'd asked me, but I knew that in that moment everything had changed. And in the weeks and months and years that followed, I started studying the Bible and was discipled and learned what it really meant to be a follower of Jesus Christ. Because in my home growing up, because my parents were of different religions, faith wasn't something that was discussed in our home. It was almost like a taboo subject that caused tension because my parents believed different things. So I didn't know that faith could be an everyday thing that you lived out and was part of your everyday life. I had never experienced that before, and through learning the Word of God and through experiencing God's love, I was able to embrace being a follower of Jesus Christ, and the joy and the peace that came with that was just overwhelming. And I'm so thankful for that day back in 2001 where God drew me back as the lost sheep, or as the prodigal son. I was drawn back to Him. And I love in John chapter 6 where Jesus talks about, no one can come to me unless my Father has prepared his heart. And of all those who come to me, I will lose none. And I take faith and I take hope, and I embrace the promise of God that I am His, and I am chosen, and I am worthy, and I am loved unconditionally. My name's Charlie Ahmad, and I walked through the open door.